alternate name, which I always make sure to say.
Tom Hanks teaches Spider-Man some acting lessons.
Because we need this is a big important scene because King Kong is out front and he's going to smash the building.
Final entry on our road to Stonewall revealed tonight. Top 10 civil rights moments in LGBTQ history. It's all happening out tonight. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Special guest host, Andrew Brett. And your host, fashion designer Carlos Marrero. Lifestyle expert Napoleon Plays. Trans activist Aaron Phoenix. Reality star Chef Josie. DJ Diva Power Infiniti. Log Cabin Republican Joe Brookman. And our host, Al Ferguson. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Well, good evening, America, and we're so happy you've joined us for another episode of It's Happening Out, America's most popular live gay talk show. We're coming to you from the Grand Hotel here in Fort Lauderdale, Wilton Manors, Florida. We affectionately say the gayest place on planet Earth, and you are getting ready to see the proof of that with the people sitting around me.
Hey, girl.
Gayest place on planet Earth. Of course, we know this being the day it is in terms of our broadcast, this is a big moment because we begin through this broadcast the celebration of the biggest gay civil rights moment in the history of the world, and that is the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. June 28, 2019, from our 50th celebration of June 28, 1969. So welcome, and we're going to do a lot of special things with Stonewall. I think very appropriate that also, as we come to you from South Florida, in South Florida itself, the Democratic national debates begin. And the campaign to remember the 3rd of November begins for 2020 tonight here in South Florida. This is where all the major Democratic candidates are. I participated in an event last night, and we're going to tell you all about that. So welcome to It's Happening Out. Are we all excited to be here?
Yay!
It's going to be great. We have so many interesting things to show you. First off, I remind you, America, as always, we're a live show. You're going to hear everything and everything. And anything that happens, you're going to get to see it live. We encourage you to share us. Start a watch party right now. Help your friends and your family see what is really important in terms of talk in the gay community by starting a watch party. And to do that, I call on my friend, who is not here tonight, Napoleon Plays, to show you how you start a watch party in Facebook. Watch this.
When viewing our live show in your app, please click share. After clicking share, your screen should change and you can then click watch party. On the next screen, you can write text to your viewing audience and then click start watch party. You've done it. Enjoy your party.
All right, everybody. So share us and start a watch party and let your family and friends see It's Happening Out and all of the discussions that are important in the gay community. Speaking of that, you don't look like Napoleon Plays to me.
No, I'm prettier.
Yeah, much prettier. Napoleon is off this week, and Napoleon is getting ready. He is still in America. He's visiting his family, but he's getting ready to fly to Buenos Aires, Argentina. And we're going to do a special thing there, and we've asked him to experiment and meet lots of Buenos Aires and Argentinian men. And that's what he's going to be doing for apparently quite a long
a Cuba
time.
repeat.
Yes, a Cuba repeat.
He's
So we say hello to Napoleon.
Hi,
We also say hello to our friend Joe Brookman, who is in Virginia. Subpoena. He's probably he's at the diabolical headquarters, as I call it, on the south side of the Potomac River and planning something nefarious because tonight is the Democratic national debate. Probably there's going to be a massive power failure in Miami or something.
Oh, God.
Yes,
like that.
there will be.
We miss both of our friends from the show. We want to thank Color Copies USA for helping us. You can see our new set that we're sitting in front of,
Beautiful.
and Color Copies USA has helped us do it. We see a strange face at the end of the table. I know everybody to my right recognizes there's a strange face at the end of the table. And to introduce our guest host this week, we thought we would kind of look at what happened this week in America's most popular talk show, which is The View. And we saw some similarities to America's most popular live gay talk show. Take a quick look at this.
My producers this morning was saying, why do people love him so much? And I was like, sometimes it's not just that they love Trump so much, it's that they hate the same things Trump hates. That's what's going on.
Black
as
people,
well.
you mean, and immigrants?
No, I mean...
Who do they hate? Who do they hate?
You know what, Joy? I really come here every day open-minded, just trying to explain it. And
Okay.
it's not a fun job for
But
me
who
every
do
day.
they hate?
I know you're angry. I
You
get it
bet I'm
that you're
angry.
angry that Trump's president, like a lot of people
I'm angry
are.
about every single
but
thing
I don't
he's doing.
think yelling at me is gonna fix the problem.
Am I
Okay?
yelling at her?
I just said that it was hard for me
Am I yelling
to
at her?
watch. Yes, I just said it was hard for me to watch Lindsey
but in
Graham, who
answering
I
her-
considered an uncle for a long time.
Yeah, but then
okay?
you're talking about the Trump
But I'm
supporters
trying
as if
to
they don't have
explain
any-
why
Okay, so here's-
2020 is not in the bag
here's-
for you.
But in
It's
answering
not.
her question, who did they
okay,
hate?
guys, okay. It's a great discussion, and we can go back to it. I just need everybody to take a beat.
But being the sacrificial Republican every day,
Well,
I'm just trying
listen,
to.
here's the thing.
Oh, don't feel bad for me,
here's
bitch.
the-
I paid to do
here's-
this. Okay?
here's the-
Don't feel
All
bad
right,
for me.
Before he headed to
let's
Florida,
not start calling
hold
each
on.
other bitches.
Here,
Let's-
Oh, Joey and I call each other bitch all the time.
We'll be right back.
Let's calm down.
All
Go, Meghan.
Well, I loved that moment because I thought it was fantastic. And actually, it will surprise people. I thought Meghan McCain was awesome in that.
She really was.
She
She
really
was.
brought it. She was
She was-
awesome. And America, gay America, we are so excited to welcome tonight Meghan McCain. Meghan, congratulations. And
I'm not
wait,
fat and blonde.
wait, exactly right. Right. Ooh, we're off to the races.
And there's a start.
There's the start. We welcome Andrew Brett, the president of the Log Cabin Republicans, and Gays for America, and Trump for America. And Andrew,
He-Man
welcome.
Woman Haters Club.
Thank
Wait,
you.
welcome to It's Happening Out. What is the stuff you're wearing? Oh gosh.
America's
She works
for
at
Trump.
7-Eleven
I-
at times.
I do
so
not.
he has to
Thank
wear
you.
the name
I do
tag.
not have a
Actually,
dog.
America.
As Joe Biden would
with the
say.
Americans for Trump, I really don't think that we can compare him to Meghan McCain.
Yeah. It's very funny to me, America, because I am so thrilled.
I
right
like
now.
winners, not
I feel
losers.
diabolical because I've been able to convince production to sit Andrew at seat 1. Directly across from Power Infiniti. So all through the show, all he's going to be looking at is Americans for Trump. So we are going to have a great show for you
And we all
tonight.
can get along.
Exactly.
It's called a dialogue.
All right. So welcome, Andrew, and
Thank
we
you
welcome
for
to
having
It's
me.
Happening.
There
we go.
Yep.
That's
All right.
team
There we
back to
go.
the president.
Let's go.
Here we go. All right. Before we get into the meat of the show, I've got to return to something that we call "Play It Back," Jared Curry. Last week, Power Infiniti railroaded the entire conversation, as he does most weeks,
Every week.
talking about prides. And I made the point in our Rainbow Capitalism segment that prides can't deny money that comes into their organization. And I was talking about Chick-fil-A. And of course, Power brilliantly turned Chick-fil-A into a white supremacist organization and said, we're going to find this out. Let me remind you what happened last week on the show. Watch this.
I'm a receipt taker, and I am definitely going to find out exactly what, as
Good.
far as what Al said, that the gay committees are obligated to take. Because for that, what you're trying to tell me is
Jared Curry.
I was just going to say, Jared,
if
get
the
ready.
Nazi- if a white supremacist group decided that they wanted to give, say, Tampa Pride a donation because they wanted a float in our Pride Parade. What you're suggesting is that we would have no option than to take their donation, and that I don't believe. But let's hold on to that. I will find out. I will find out, and I'll come back. Whatever the answer is, I'll come back and
let's move on because I want to move to Road to Stonewall. But however, I want to point out we were talking about Chick-fil-A, not a white supremacist group.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. According to you,
with Jared Curry, we're going to come to you next week. And one of the things, again, we're going to run it back.
All right. Go, girl.
So we played it back, Jared Curry. Power's done exhaustive research. I've gotten text after text of the dozens of presidents of prides all over America that he has surveyed. Power, tell us what you found out.
Well, I did the investigative reporting, and as I said I would because I'm a bitch that likes receipts. And what I found out was that different pride committees have different ways of getting around feeling obligated to allow various groups that they do not agree with to enter their pride parades. From Tampa Pride, Kerry West said that what the actual legal jargon is that a committee or an organization would have to be given an application to apply for entry to Pride, which means that they are just applying for a review, and then after that, then they would be subject to some type of oversight, and then a decision would be made.
Right, let me make sure I restate. So they can pay their money, they can get into the Pride or to the Pride Parade. If they're in corporate structure or some kind of political organization, they file an application that would be reviewed and potentially could be denied down the road. Is that correct?
They wouldn't even accept the money, so they can keep their money in the first place. Their money would not even be accepted because the application to apply for entry.
All right.
Not just an application to apply.
Okay.
Mike, we ain't finished, honey. Let me. Mike Martorell of Pride Fort Lauderdale said, and I quote, "We have the right to refuse."
You have evidence defense.
Yes, I have receipts. I have the receipts. We have the right to refuse entry into the parade to anyone. Generally, we would refuse entry to any organization that might cause a safety concern by their presence in the parade. For example, Charlotte Pride refused entry to a Trump supporters group. Sorry, Andrew. Their point was their mere presence in the parade create a safety issue and not worth the risk. In the cases where companies have not had a good record with the LGBT community, we can also refuse them entry based on that reason. Ideally, we always want to have a reason, but in all honesty, we don't have to.
Disagree because
now wait.
Lock-having Republicans and Americans for Trump were going to be in the Pride in Fort Lauderdale.
Hold on.
We had no problem with that.
Andrew, we'll give you plenty of opportunity.
But I got to respond to that because that's not true in Wilton Manors.
Okay.
There's nothing to respond to. I'm just giving you the...
Right, but I'm telling you what I did.
Andrew, I'm asking you one more time.
Sure.
Pause. Thank you. All right, so our situation is I'm going to declare it a draw. Can we declare it a draw? Al was 51% right, you were 49%.
No, we cannot. Where's my drink?
No. Where's your drink?
I think you should have a drink.
Well, what you guys don't know is that after this aired, Al came up to me and said, whoever wins has to buy the other one a drink. Well, I don't really drink, but whatever the most expensive drink in the joint is, I want it.
All right. So, America, Power doesn't know what I'm getting ready to do. I'm a man of my word.
Are you?
I fulfill my bets. Now, I don't believe I've lost the bet. I think I got it 51% right. He got it 49% right. However, I did some crack investigation on my own, and I found out that Power likes Moscato wine. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Moscato wine, that's his preference. So I went on a fact-finding mission on what's called the Google machine. Have you all ever heard of it? And on the Google machine, I went to where the best Moscato wine in the world is. And to fulfill my bet to Power Infiniti, Power Infiniti, guess where I found it? Actually, I have brought the fulfillment of my bet here tonight. Now, I'm going to give you the souvenir bag of gift, but I want to bring it to everyone's attention as we bring up the slide. This Moscato actually comes from Russia. Wow. And it's called Moscow Moscato. And this famous,
no collusion.
This famous Moscato wine is made with no obstruction and no collusion. And it is directly made in Russia. And oh, by the way, this Moscato, Moscow Moscato, is endorsed by the White House and white people of the USA. And so,
and the Mueller report.
Look at the picture. Apparently, he couldn't get Trump Tower, but he started a Moscato brand in Moscow, and he asked you to also try these other amazing Trump brands, which include Trump Steaks and Trump University and Trump Atlantic City Hotel. So, congratulations, you've won the bet.
Well, thank you.
Power with no words.
I was going to say,
I'm feeling with Trump's face on it, this is probably nothing but water.
True. It is actually a very, very good. It is a very good.
Did you
Moscato.
open it before? Or
no, I happen to know. It's one of those generic brands that Donald Trump has taken on, and you'll love it. It's a delicious brand, and congratulations
thank you
on
very much, Al.
winning the bid. Right. And I hope you saw the slide here in terms of Power Infiniti's new favorite thing. Congratulations.
One vote at a time.
All right. We want to remind you, at the end of the show, we're going to do our road to Stonewall, and we're going to reveal our final gay icon on our road to Stonewall, and we're going to include that, so make sure you stay tuned. So let's move into the meat of the show now. And we always start the meat of our show with our meme of the week. And boy, do we have a doozy this week. Look at our meme of the week. Don't vote in 2020. It won't cost you much. Ursula says, just your voice.
My favorite movie, Little Mermaid.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew?
Next.
All right.
Oh, now you're quiet. Now you're quiet.
Very good. Now you're quiet. Right. Okay. Then we move into the best thing of the week, and we always try to find fun things that are great for the gay community. Did everybody see the new trailer for It? I love Stephen King. He lives in my hometown of Sarasota, Florida. It is coming out, but not exactly as you thought. Watch our best new thing of the week with the new trailer for It. Watch this.
Hey, boys.
Do you hear that? I think it's over here.
What the heck?
Oh, you hear that? What is it? Oh my god!
What are you scrumptious boys up to today?
No thanks. Sorry, Mr. Clown. Maybe another time.
Oh, wait. I have RuPaul's Drag Race seasons 1 through 11.
Wait. Did you just say RuPaul's Drag Race? Oh my god.
Wait. Including All-Stars?
And the All-Stars Untucked.
Oh my god. How you guys?
It's the sewer.
I have a cute verse Latino down here.
Se habla español?
Yes, and I'm uncut.
Well, I'm sold. Come on, Sarge. Oh! Damn it!
I've got Ariana Grande's unreleased album.
Wait.
Wake up with your boyfriend.
You're good.
There's B-sides.
No! We're good, Mr. Clown.
I'll get you verified on Instagram.
I'm sorry, Tony. No! Damn it! Why do you want to kill us so bad?
Kill? I don't want to kill you. I just want to eat your hole.
I thought you wanted to kill us this whole time. Wait. Are you verse?
Yeah, and I'm on prep. Yeah, come on. Squeeze in.
It's not so bad in here. Wait, where's everybody else?
Oh, I've got a sling back there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're waiting.
I'll meet you there, right?
Yeah, meet you there.
I
got a sling back there.
I can't wait to see it. It's going to be the movie of 2000.
That was so on point.
Right, absolutely. All right, our favorite thing that we saw this week. All right, we move into celebrity hot topics. We have lots of them this week. First off, have you heard that Queen Bee has been released in a new trailer? Of course, the new trailer for The Lion King has been distributed out, and everybody can see it now. Beyonce, for the first time, being heard with Danny Glover singing on the new Lion King. The animation is amazing.
Yes.
Watch this preview.
Simba, look at the stars.
Can you feel the love tonight?
The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars.
The peace the evening brings.
Those kings will always be up there to guide you.
The world for once in perfect harmony with all its living things.
And so will I.
Disney's The Lion King, rated PG. Tickets on sale tomorrow.
Congratulations to Disney. We're all excited about Lion King.
That song is amazing. Just for one sec. We come from the same days, but Lonnie Gordon, she did a song called "He Lives in You," and the words for that song it's from here. And I looked to see if that song is in here. Everybody, you need to listen to that song. "He Lives in You" by Lebo M.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
This
That's
week
from Lion King too, isn't it?
in Celebrity Hot Topics, we saw Tom Hanks, and an interesting thing happened. Everybody thinks it's easy to be an actor. Tom Hanks recently, just this week, on Graham Norton said, "I really hated my experience on Toy Story because I had to do every single line that I did like 19 different ways." And Spider-Man, as we know, next week Spider-Man comes out. He basically kind of poo-pooed that idea until Tom Hanks called him out and said, "Well, let's see how you do. Watch this."
I see you and Napoleon.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cuter, but yeah.
Right, exactly. Also in big celebrity news this week, it was Clash of the Titans. Meryl Streep's birthday, and she got something in the neighborhood of like 3 million birthday messages. How do you process through 3 million birthday messages? But a big one was, as you see in this slide, from Cher. And Cher tweeted out a birthday message, and you know you're great friends with Meryl Streep in the Clash of the Titans when you call Meryl Streep Mary Louise. So you knew it was a big deal, and we show that in front of you. Finally, this is breaking. This just happened in terms of Lady Gaga. And Lady Gaga at the Apollo Theater in New York. Of course, the planet is there in celebrating the gay community. The largest gay celebration in the history of the world has begun. And look at what Lady Gaga has just done in talking about Stonewall. Watch this.
365 out of the year. But I'll take a fucking global week. And wow, on Friday, the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. That was when our community said, enough is enough. And all hail to so many, including Miss Marsha P. Johnson. What bravery, what courage. In the spirit of acceptance, the spirit of tolerance, the spirit of courage to be seen as you see yourself. I have learned so much over the years from all my fans. I feel so blessed. Thank you for showing me and teaching me. And I've learned something very important to ask people now. And I wish to share this with everyone who's listening, not just in this theater, but around the world. Ask the question, what is your pronoun?
I could not help but be struck that she's doing it in the principal black community of New York of Harlem and the iconic Apollo Theater as she kicks off and the world does the Stonewall celebration. Any very quick thoughts about Lady Gaga?
She had some PR things to work out, so it's probably a smart move.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. There's that. And anything else?
Damned if you do it. Damned if you don't.
Yeah, I was going to say. All right. That'll be enough. We'll move on. We move on now into headlines, and oh my goodness, are there lots of them? First off, I'm not even sure the hosts know this. Breaking news: approximately 2 hours ago, Kellyanne Conway has been subpoenaed by the House Committee for ethics violations for her role in the White House. Very little news other than she has been subpoenaed now to be required to speak to
as
the
of
ethics
other Democrats
committees.
who have said the same thing before.
Yeah.
This is another witch hunt.
A witch hunt on Kellyanne.
I hope
Okay, all right.
Hope this one ends in a burning at the stake.
The Salem witch trials, 2019. All right, got it.
Grasping
All right.
at straws.
Next, we give you in headlines Robert Mueller. And big headlines in the news this week. Robert Mueller is going to testify July 13th in front of Congress. And
yes,
we're going to
absolutely.
hear his first voice. I'm curious, Andrew, we take the opportunity with you being here as president of Log Cabin Republicans. What do you think, is there value in Mueller testifying before Congress?
Absolutely not, 100%. This is going to blow up in every Democratic on that committee's face like the pie face in Anita Bryant in 1973. It's bizarre. It's not going to happen. And what about the dossier? In the FISA warrants.
Yeah.
They're grasping at straws. Wait. Let me finish. If you have a hysterectomy,
I'm going to give you 15 seconds.
If you have a hysterectomy and a vasectomy, you're not going to have a child. The Mueller report is nothing. No collusion, nothing. No obstruction. He did nothing wrong. Let's move forward. Let's get infrastructure going. And let's move on and get this border security stuff going. Stop this. And Nadler, the poor guy hasn't seen his little wee-wee since he was 5 years old. He's grasping at straws.
All right, now
Can
wait.
I say something?
Hold on, before we do, let me give you a little framing of what's going on with Mueller. Let me show you something that Rachel Maddow said.
We have some breaking news tonight. Special counsel Robert Mueller has agreed to testify to Congress in an open session on Wednesday, July 17th. This is big news. Word broke just a few minutes ago in a joint statement from the chairman of the House Intelligence and House Judiciary Committees, Congressman Adam Schiff of California, Congressman Gerald Nadler of New York. This is their statement, which they've just released, and I'll tell you, just been handed to me, so I am reading this as you are. Today, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff announced that Special Counsel Robert Mueller has agreed to testify pursuant to a subpoena before both the House Judiciary Committee and House Intelligence Committee in open session on Wednesday, July 17th. In announcing the testimony, Nadler and Schiff hereby release this joint statement. Pursuant to subpoenas issued by the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees tonight, the Special Counsel has agreed to testify before both committees in open session on July 17th. Quote, Americans have demanded to hear directly from the Special Counsel so they can understand what he and his team examined, uncovered, and determined about Russia's attack on our democracy, the Trump campaign's acceptance and use of that help, and President Trump and his associates' obstruction of the investigation into that attack. We look forward to hearing his testimony, as do all Americans.
Okay, well, as you can see, Mueller's coming to Congress. He's apparently going to spill his guts, I would assume, in terms of his testimony. Any final thoughts?
Two things. If it's going to blow up in our face, why are you so scared? Let it blow up in our face. Okay.
Wait, Andrew.
Lips moving, still talking. And then if I don't believe it until I see it, because they're going to block him like they block Hope Hicks or everybody else. So I'm not so excited yet. But if it's going to be the way that he says, then let it go.
Okay.
And it's going to be, and where...
Andrew, hold on one sec. We're going to, right. Any other thoughts before we move on? We heard Andrew.
If you speak the English language and you can read the English language, and the invitation recommendation is to read the Mueller report. Within the Mueller report, there are so many inconsistencies. You would wonder how we're not all reading the same report, and the shadiness that is very apparent. I can't wait to hear Mueller.
Okay. Adam Schiff has had collusion on Trump for 24 months. Where is it? He has not produced it. It's a poppycock. It's a bunch of BS.
We hear that observation. The one thing that I would say about Mueller's testimony, and I've said this before here, I wish Mueller would have said something more. He creates the confusion, even that's expressed at this table.
What confusion?
He
no collusion, no obstruction.
All right.
End of story. Move on, people.
He never came out and said no obstruction. The Mueller report clearly shows obstruction.
All right.
Collusion, you can argue. Obstruction, there's no argument.
There's no obstruction, no
collusion.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on.
He obstructed.
We're going to move on.
I'm petty enough to get the last
Other headlines in the news. Other headlines in the news.
on,
we have tension going on in the world. And that is in Iran. Iran has shot down a drone, and drums of war seem to be beating. We have this in front of you. Basically, we can see some handwriting on the wall. We report it as news. Anybody have any thoughts about what's going on?
What handwriting on the wall?
We're going to start with Power.
I'm actually torn on this, because unlike a lot of my liberal and democratic friends, I am actually kind of hawkish when it comes to our military and our use of force. I think Iran is an enemy, and I think that I really do not wish the best for them. However, I don't trust this president. I don't trust his strategy, and I believe that his strategy is going to end up as useless as it did when it comes to North Korea. Iran is a country that has executed gays for being gays, so I don't have a problem with them being wiped off the map, save the people, of course. But at the same time, I just do not believe anything that comes out of our government right now and this administration, and I just don't trust Trump. Sorry.
So
He is the master chess player. The president at the last minute did not want to take any civilian lives. That was the bottom line why we did not bomb them. And I trust him explicitly. He's a businessman, he's smart, and he's the master chess player, and don't think you're going to outmaster playing
We
him.
hear you. Last thought. Aaron's last thought.
So Aaron's first thought. So it is. So nuclear weapons don't really have an option to save the people, unfortunately. And 1962, okay, we had a little thing called the Cuban Missile Crisis. For anybody my age who probably doesn't know and doesn't read up on these things, we had the same kind of nuclear staring contest with the Soviets when we found out they were bringing missiles into Cuba, right? So we had this staring contest, Russia blinked, and America's such a badass, they backed off. No, not really. JFK struck a deal, basically, saying, okay, we'll move some of our missiles out of here from your border, you move your missiles out of ours. Smoothed it over. We didn't find out till the 80s that it wasn't, just a dick swinging contest that he won. But at the end of the day, at that time, we had a president who knew how to read. We had a president who knew history, who knew the foreign policy issues of the country that he was elected to run, and actually was able to get us through it. Trump, that's not what we have.
Wrong. We do not have any Democrats like John F. Kennedy running today.
There's 6
I
of
would
us at the
sooner trust
table.
accountable to give me a blowjob than trust Trump. I'm so sorry.
All right. I want to take a quick poll. All I need is your hand, please. Is anyone with the news in Iran worried to scared about an international crisis? Raise your hand if you are. Okay, and I'm assuming your hand is no. Raise your hand as no. Okay, there's the clear division that we have on Iran and USA tensions. Next in headlines in the news is the big headline that Alabama is in the news again. Judge Roy Moore is running for the U.S. Senate. Again and again. Watch this.
I love you.
Watch this little video that we prepared. Watch this.
Fox urgent now. The Alabama Republican Roy Moore announcing another run for the United States Senate in 2020 after he lost amid sexual misconduct allegations. This is an affront to the Republican Party. President Trump has said he cannot win, and that's a quote. During the 2017 race, 6 women accused Roy Moore of pursuing romantic or sexual relationships with them when they were teenagers, as young as 14. and he was an assistant district attorney in his 30s. 2 of the women accuse him of assault or molestation. Moore denied the accusations and has said he considered his 2017 defeat when he lost to Jones by 22,000 votes out of 1.3 million cast a fraud. Now, against the wishes of the Republican Party and against pressures from within and outside, Roy Moore announces he will run in 2020.
Of course, big news this week in terms of Judge Roy Moore running against the senator, the Democratic senator that won. Lots of argument in the Republican Party that this harms the Republican Party in taking the seat back. Lots of argument in the Republican Party that this is great for the Republicans to take it back. Any quick thoughts?
Again, false accusations and judgments have never been proven, like Stormy Daniels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have a huge Republican stronghold and base in Alabama, and we need to move forward and go on with that and stop these ludicrous false accusations who actually hurt real victims, women being abused. And I think we all can say that we're tired of it.
Okay.
It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democratic thing.
Somebody
false accusations are
Diamond
harmful.
and Silk are not going to be able to help you, Roy Moore, get reelected to the Senate. It's not going to help the Republican Party, and you're not going to become your biggest idol, Donald Trump. You know, if I stand out in the middle of Times Square, I could shoot someone and I'd still get elected.
15 seconds.
That's not going to be you, Roy Moore. Okay, so go back into the hole you crawled out of.
He'll be crawling out and winning.
Okay. All right.
Alabama peeps, how you're a teenager.
All right. We'll follow Roy Moore, of course. Last thing, no, not the last thing. We want to bring your attention of something that's going on this week in New York while the Stonewall celebration is going on. The LGBT Center in New York City has been sued for defamation and discrimination by a gay Republican, Brandon Straka. And he makes a very passionate argument as the president of #WalkAway, which is a conservative organization that is supporting Republican positions and certainly the president of the United States. It caught our attention because of observations that he makes about the gay community. Watch this on the steps after the filing in district court.
We were not welcome. And so, this is what it means to be an LGBT person today. Though we enjoy the freedoms and liberation that we fought so hard for, my community is forever suspended in a state of perpetual victimhood and fear, cast upon them not by the Republican Party, but by their own. The greatest oppressors to the LGBT community in 2019 are the LGBT community. This is an oppression of intellectual diversity, of political individuality, of freedom of thought, language, and choice. It is a self-imposed intellectual quarantine. But I intend to stand and fight those in my own community, in the liberal media, and in the Democratic Party who wish to control and manipulate minorities in America. I am no longer afraid of the Republican Party. I am a gay man who has been warmly loved, embraced, supported, and honored within the conservative movement and the Republican Party. I have been entrusted by these same people to lead a movement, the purpose of which is to open the minds and hearts of those who are enslaved to the hive mind of the Democratic Party and the unquestioning, hypnotic devotion to the liberal media. I was told in no uncertain terms that I am not allowed to be a part of this community by the LGBT Center, LGBT activists, and the LGBT media. But they don't write my story. I write my story.
Well, Sunday, to kick off Stonewall Week, #WalkAway was doing a national town hall in New York at the LGBT Center to basically talk about conservative point of view and supporting Donald Trump, among other Republican voices and conservative opinion in America. Pressure against the LGBT Center forced the LGBT Center to make the decision to cancel the event. Now, #WalkAway and Brandon Straka has filed lawsuit against the speech rights that were imposed. What do y'all think about the news that's developing here and his point? I really want to focus on his point that we are, in the gay community, shouting down all opposition.
Listen, first
to
of all,
us.
how dare you compare yourself being alone in a sandbox because you're a bigot to people being beaten in jail because they had nothing left to lose for your right to go be a bigot? I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling entirely
What
bullshit.
did he say was being a bigot?
Wait, let Aaron finish, please.
listen, I don't have to go into the whole the litany
No,
of
you said he was a
reasons
bigot.
why.
Please
Of
explain
reasons
why you're
why
being a
following, because in
bigot.
2019, if you're still following Donald Trump and you still really are worshiping him that way,
I'm
you're
not
a bigot.
worshiping. I support him, but please tell me how he is being
Andrew,
a bigot. Being
we
walk
can't
away.
have dialogue if you interrupt after one sentence.
Okay, but when she
We
when
cannot
she
have
says
dialogue.
something,
Wait, no, we'll
when
be
he
very
says
clear.
something that's
Andrew,
not true,
you're interrupting me in my observation.
I have a right to
Andrew,
question it.
This will be your first and last visit to It's Happening Out if you continue as you're doing right now. You cannot interrupt every sentence. Please allow Erin to finish her point.
His point.
His point. I apologize.
I mean, you know what? That's all I really got to say at this point, because it just is ridiculous to me. If you like, there's trading one flavor of Kool-Aid for another, and then there's trading a flavor of Kool-Aid for drinking bleach.
Wait, I want to challenge the observation. Straka's point is that the political climate that Donald Trump has created a culture of a gay community that has pursued embracement in the broadest possible ways of asking everyone to embrace us. And now that we seem to be there, especially in this week, corporately, in money, in visibility, in media, that we're shouting down opposition, and we shouldn't be doing that. Let's not get into the minutiae.
But these aren't matters of disagreement over infrastructure or disagreement over how a road should be paved. These are disagreements about what people's lives are worth, and the value of people, and the value of healthcare, the value of all kinds of things. That it's not a matter of shouting down opposition. It's a matter of standing up for principles at this point. And if you want to go and feel whatever it is you feel, then you feel that. But when you start infringing on other people's rights, it becomes a whole different story altogether.
I certainly believe, and a lot of my friends do not, I believe that even if you don't like what somebody has to say, you should certainly allow them the right to say it. I will not agree with everything that Andrew has to say, or
But nobody's
Joe.
taking away their right to say it.
However, I will always fight for their right to say it. That being said, you believing that you're being shouted down is, of course, your right to believe that. The fact of the matter is that it is a passionate and heated issue on both sides. And if you're being shouted down by most of the community, it's because most of the community feels negatively affected and impacted by this administration, this party, and this president. Period, point blank. And anything that affects me, I'm to shout your ass down. Okay. Now, if you want to say something and you have a different opinion, then speak up louder. I don't know. Okay. I don't necessarily agree with them, with them chopping the man from his event or what have you. It might be a private place, and they have a right to chop whatever. They say they reserve that right. That being said, he has a right to stand up, and he has a right to say what he wants to say. But people are not obligated to agree or like it, right. And people certainly have a right to stand up to it.
All right. Both of those framed observations to my question. Now, Andrew, you represent your point of view.
Brenda Stryker is not a bigot. He describes what our gay community is. We used to be in the 90s like this. We're water and oil, who refuse to listen and try to accept the different points of view. President Trump is the most pro-gay president we've ever had.
Well, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
He appointed the first openly gay ambassador to Germany.
I want to help. I want to help propel our conversation by not talking about the president or the former president. And we're focusing specifically on the issue of what the gay community does in terms of shouting down opposition.
So we have Walk Away. We have my dear friend Michelle Terrace with Jexit, the Jews leaving the Democratic Party because the Democrats have done nothing for the Jews. We have Candace Owens with the Blexit supporting the black movement, which they're going to get 36% of the vote in 2020, and me with the exit movement with the gays leaving the Democratic Party because they've done nothing.
Okay, we've reported the news. This is obviously a very controversial issue, and I want, as host at It's Happening Out, I want to come back to this topic and relatively frequently because he scratches a wound that is going on. And I want to explore if it's really a wound and if it's self-imposed and what the different points of view are. And this conversation alone proves that there is significant contribution or contradictions in terms of what we think. Let's
and
move
we
on.
thank you for that,
Yeah.
for bringing this to the table and to bringing an open discussion somewhat civilly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And respecting each other.
Final thing that we want to do in the news is go to the Ukraine. And in Russia and Ukraine, frequently, as it relates to gay and pride protests, it's not so great. This week, there was Kiev Pride, and there was quite a protest. We're going to show you some video that we have from Kiev Pride, and I'm going to tell you a bit about it, and then allow any of you that would like to comment on it. For Kiev Pride to happen, they had to have literally hundreds of police officers stand arm in arm along the parade route to keep protesters out of the street. Because literally, what you're watching would have happened over and over and over again. This is in the capital city of this country. The number of participants in this parade from last year doubled. And partially, many analysts are saying is because so many more people, both not just gay, LGBTQ+, but also straight allies, felt much more confident in coming out, and the crowds grew dramatically. But the protest also grew dramatically. Any thoughts about what we're watching?
These are
Kiev?
heroes.
Yeah, they
These
are.
heroes.
God bless them.
It's very, very easy for us, and sometimes we take for granted
Absolutely.
our pride parades and our ability and our liberties here in the United States. But when you look at places like this, where they still are behind the times when it comes to their movement, and the fact that they come out and that they show up, and that one picture that we just showed where the guy was holding up the sign that says "No fear," that takes on a whole different meaning to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And God bless them.
So everyone at the table has agreed on this observation in terms of the propel.
Al?
Yeah.
Can we import some of those policemen to Wilton Manors?
Yeah.
Police force, please?
Right, exactly. All right, that's our headlines. That's a funny joke. That's our headlines this week. There's lots of big headlines. After the headlines, I always like to drink. I don't know about anybody else.
I
Any excuse for
You're getting ahead of us. Wait. All right. David Hopkins, we're going to have to refill. We are going to play a game that we really love. I love it. It's called I Swallow That. And we're showing you that. It's an agree or disagree game. We haven't played it in a little while. We encourage you to do it at home or here at the Grand Hotel in Fort Lauderdale. So everybody knows the rules, and you don't touch your, this is a vodka shot, and everybody knows the rules.
Judy Garland loved this game.
Which one already broke?
Yes,
So.
exactly.
It is definitely vodka.
Yeah, Aaron's going to
Actually,
that was great.
Stop him. It was
okay.
It was Trump vodka.
Yeah, just yeah, exactly. Trump vodka is well, no, don't even get me started.
Is that
All right.
still around?
All right, we ready? I'd swallow that. Question number 1. I have lied about actually voting in an important local or nationwide election.
I really want to drink, and I didn't do that.
No, I didn't do that either.
Next.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this needs to
I can't say that because I just earned the right to vote just becoming a citizen in 2017. So
Oh, good for you.
I'm very proud to say I cannot take a drink to that.
Yes. All right. Wait, I'm calculating in my head. So you didn't vote in the last presidential election?
I certainly did not. But bitch, I wasn't a citizen.
Knew that until this moment.
I couldn't vote then, but bitch, I can vote now.
And, didn't you miss the mark by like a few days, if I remember correctly? Yeah. See, that was racist and homophobic.
There's
so that
one more black vote for Candace. So
Candace, vote her out.
All right. Question
Power
number
Infiniti
2.
is coming for you.
I'd swallow that. Question 2. I have slept with a friend's ex.
Oh,
many
please. Cheers.
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 I have not, but I'm going to do the vodka too.
I don't know who it
Matter
was,
of fact,
but
I
just
can
wanted to
drink. I can drink
I'm
everybody's
doing
shot.
2 because I slept with so many.
Dude, everybody's
Really?
shot, bitch.
So your friend, you didn't intentionally do it.
Of
Or you
course I did.
You did?
Oh,
yeah.
With an ex.
You did? Oh, you took. Did you do? Oh,
Yeah.
You did yours? Really?
I think everyone has done that. Isn't
With
that
with
like
an
a
ex, with a
common-
present. Didn't
You've
matter
never
to me,
slept with
dude.
anyone else's ex.
Not a friend of mine.
A friend's ex.
Yeah,
okay.
a friend's ex is the clarification. In
Listen,
there.
there's
My
also a
refill shot was-
distinction, people. Okay, and so you don't think we're all slime balls, but you know, like when you talk about when you talk about a friend, you know, and their ex. I mean, what constitutes an ex?
Honestly,
You know
I don't.
what I mean? I don't know.
I don't think
Well,
I
we're
ever have. I
beginning-
just kind of, was going with the flow.
We're beginning to pull the question apart a bit. All right, question number 3. Our last question of I'd Swallow That. Someone that is well hung immediately makes them more attractive.
Hello.
Ooh.
Okay,
See?
it's a yes, but I don't think I can drink anymore.
I sat in production as we reviewed these questions today, and specifically discussed.
no.
Would you drink?
Sister Mary Clarence.
No.
Close it up.
Sister Mary Clarence.
What was the question again?
No.
You were in production, so did Frank
Oh,
talk
well,
about his big dick again? Because he
I-
loves talking about that.
Right. Well, and basically, I wanted to ask somebody. Now, you did it too?
What?
Did you
Yeah,
did the shot?
yeah,
because
sure.
it increased. Well, explain that to us.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, come on, guys. Everyone knows it's like they say it's not the size of the ocean, but we all know that really helps. And if you're well endowed, I mean, there's a competence that comes along with
Big
that.
dick energy.
Yeah, big dick energy. You walk around, you feel
burp
confident.
it.
You know that you don't have to work so hard. I don't know. It's a swag, man. And so
I'm built different. If I'm a total package type of person, and
Yes,
if the person
so am I.
and if the person
This is
doesn't
going
have
down
everything
south.
else going on that I like, I always say I don't care if their dick is rolling down the street. If you don't have what I like, I don't give a damn about how big your dick is. I'm just like, it's a chop.
Dick is abundant and low value, girl.
Yeah.
You could find a big
Okay.
dick on
So,
anyone.
but hold on, because you said the
You're gonna
question.
call this bullshit
yeah,
out?
yeah. The question was simply, does having a big dick
Make
make
them
you
more
more
attractive.
attractive?
Automatically make you more attractive. No, it doesn't automatically.
I'm not talking
make-
about marrying them, Power.
Yeah.
Not
Not even one night only.
I want to point out to America, all of these panelists. I won't use the word that is now appeared in the chat string, but to all of these panelists, Joe Brookman's in Virginia, planning the overthrow
All
of
right,
America, as
yeah.
he's doing, and he has just said. He has just called all of you shameless hussies. Apparently,
Thank
Joe. Excuse me, I want a
Takes one to
tiara.
know one, Joe.
Where is my tiara?
Okay, let's move on. We come back briefly to politics and talk about the first Democratic debate. It starts tonight and tomorrow. And 10 of the candidates are tonight. 10 more of the candidates are tomorrow night. It cost a huge sum of money. It was basically a lottery. You had to raise enough money to get on the stage to make this cut. What do y'all think? Any big news here, or is it just 15 months away and it's just too early?
Andrew actually brought up a very good point today in our pre-production meeting that we're actually looking at the reverse of what we saw in the 2015 election with the Republicans. So we have what did you call it?
The clown bus.
Remember, we called the Republicans.
So
the clown
we
bus.
Democrats have our work cut out for us because we have a lot to go through.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's this early because some of them are going to fall out. They're not going to get the support. And there's a lot of people, including me, that I'm kicking the can down because I still have not made up my mind. I want to see how Elizabeth Warren does today, and I want to see how the news from tonight is going to last because tomorrow there's another one. So these people from tonight are not going to get the exposure.
I'll save you the agony and vote for Trump.
You
drink your red Kool-Aid, bitch.
Exactly. His Russian red vodka.
Exactly.
Interesting that you say that. I covered last night the Elizabeth Warren town hall, and I'll tell you of the 19 that are on the stage tonight and tomorrow night. There's really now only 19. Elizabeth Warren cannot be president of the United States, and she cannot be elected president of the United States.
Al, you've tried to predict some other things before, too.
Seriously,
so.
I want to make this observation. As I get close, I love my 11th grade history teacher, but I don't want my 11th grade history teacher to be President of the United States. She's got a great plan, like an 11th grade history teacher. And she has lots of good plans, and I encourage her to lobby to be the Vice President or perhaps the Secretary of Treasury. But her organization to be President of the United States is very poor, and last night I decided, nope, Elizabeth Warren cannot be President of the United States as I get close and watch it. So for me, whoop, one is
well, one of our viewers and avid contributors to our It's Happening Out group page, Douglas Fairbanks, is going to send you some hate mail.
Douglas,
after that.
I love you. I love
He
you.
is all about Elizabeth Warren, so he's about to whoop your ass.
Be President of the United States. June
What was her
26th.
wonderful plan?
Well, she has
Read her
lots of
website.
interesting things. That's not my point. Her organization for President of the United States is not enough. It's
What
just
is it
not
lacking?
enough, and I watched it last night. First, there's no LGBT representation in terms of talking.
What was that?
Second, you heard me, it's the vodka kicking in. And second, yesterday, being in South Florida, being one of the largest gay communities in America, she does not mention the LGBT community yesterday in her town hall in South Florida. Disqualifying to me.
You know, I think we can be a little bit easy on her, Al, because it's still early in the race. And you ask whether or not the debates are important. I mean, with 26
total.
26 possible Democratic candidates for President of the United States, it's time to start weeding out.
Exactly.
What's going to happen now is if, you know, and that's why I appreciate the debates this early on, because we start weeding out the weak messages. We don't need any more cannon fodder in the way to distract everyone. We need to get unified as a party. And if the goal is to remove the cancer from the White House, then we need to be committed to
No
I'm not
cancer,
gonna
no
just,
collusion.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm not going to vote for just for anyone because I like you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a solid plan, and we need to start
And none of
hearing
them
those
do.
plans
Yeah,
right now.
and I reported to all the hosts. One of the things at the Elizabeth Warren kickoff last night, I interviewed many gay people that had come to the Warren Town Hall. A couple of interesting things happened, which reminded me, oh, Al, you've got to re-ground yourself in real people and understand what's going on among real people, not you people. Because, in all seriousness, I learned that Mayor Pete is not as popular as we think. Without exception, you have done the dick thing. I know, you're right. Without exception, no one said he was ready to be President of the United States and he was not a choice. It shocked me, and I put him right in front of everyone. Millennials talked about how badly they performed in the election and how millennials must change everything. And that surprised me. Of how aware they were in terms of how poorly they did in 2016.
Yeah, it's really important for the millennials right now to step up and step in. If you guys don't understand, all of us sitting at the table, we've lived our lives. We could live the next 30 years quietly, except for Aaron.
I'm literally right here.
Exactly. Except for Aaron.
I'm literally a millennial.
But we could all go live our lives and not.
Right.
We could all just continue living our lives and not give a shit about politics. We could just go to our. I mean, I could live on an island right now and not give a shit about where this world is going on.
Right now?
Where this world is going. But the millennials, you guys are thinking about, forming
You're
families.
Pay for me.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Exactly.
gonna you're gonna pay my Medicare, my Medicaid,
No
my
question.
Thank you, Bernie.
you know, and but this is what it is. Millennials need to wake up because the future that's being decided is yours, not ours.
I think that if some millennials
15
had the
more
same,
seconds.
if some millennials
15
had
more
the same passion when it comes to politics that they do for their outrage for Taylor Swift's video, we would have done changed the world already.
I'm literally.
Wait.
right
I
here.
said
Some
15 more
millennials.
seconds. I'm sorry, that's it. I have to move on.
can
I
I
have to move on. You have to listen. I have to move on.
Yes, Daddy.
Next report.
Welcome.
That was kind of sexy. This conservative Republican called me daddy. I kind of like that. All right. And I assure you, I would answer question number 3 the way I answered question number 3. All right. So anyway, our next segment that we want to talk about is media response. This week going on at Stonewall. Has anyone noticed that there's something different about the gay community in terms of public perception? Are you hearing all of the embracements that are going on? We thought it was interesting. Let's go back to showing you what the media said about our community in June of this week in 2000, let's go back. In 1970, 1 year after Stonewall. Watch this.
Apparently it's part of an overall nationwide program to drive homosexuals back underground now that we're coming out.
You're coming out since when?
Over the past year, homosexuals have been coming out into public, refusing to hide in the closets, as we say.
This is our day. You know, other groups have their own holidays, you know, their own marches and things like that. This is our day.
The program we are about to present is a report on the gay liberation movement. It deals with the drive for legal and civil rights and for freedom of expression of the homosexual lifestyle. Some of the scenes may be disturbing or shocking to some viewers. We point that out for those who do not wish to see or perhaps do not wish their children to see any portrayal of homosexual behavior.
By the way, America,
Wow.
that was Edwin Newman, Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Gather your children because you're getting ready to see 2 men holding hands.
Like a horror movie.
1970. Well, our point in terms of what is going on in America this week in the celebration of Stonewall, you can't turn on a local station or a national news network leading up to Friday's anniversary, 50th anniversary, the World Pride Parade that is going to take place this weekend, and not hear the world's press, but especially the American press, speak completely different than what you just saw. We found a fantastic example of this, and before we show this to you, I want to frame it to remind you. This was shown at 7:20 in the morning and then repeated again on the Today Show, the most popular morning television broadcast in the world, in front of children as they're out of school. Watch what the Today Show did.
This morning, we're kicking off a special series called Pride 50 with an eye-opening look at gender fluidity, how the teens of Gen Z are changing the rules and educating their parents.
From the moment we're born, we're defined by our gender. Think about the first thing people ask. Is it a boy or a girl? Most of us were raised according to those stereotypes, but now Generation Z, the new generation, they're changing all that. From the clothes they buy to the pronouns they use, teens are rewriting the rules of gender.
And it's impacting nearly every part of our culture. Mainstream clothing brands like H&M and Zara have introduced gender-neutral clothing lines. Popular TV shows like Orange is the New Black and Billions featured gender-fluid characters. And 10 states and Washington, D.C. now offer a gender-neutral X option on their driver's licenses. But is embracing gender-fluid just a phenomenon on the liberal coasts? To find out, we went to Katy, Texas, a conservative middle-class suburb of Houston, where we gathered this group of teens.
I'm Layla, and I'm 13.
I'm Kenny, and I'm 15.
And their parents. They say when it comes to these new definitions of gender, kids are educating them for the better.
Kind of have a choice. I can either, as I age, I can close my mind and be stuck where I was 10, 15 years ago, or I can continue to open my mind.
I mean, you guys are going to be old and you can't say anything. So there's nothing stopping us anymore. And then we can pass it on down to our kids.
Well, could the difference be any starker? There
Lighten up the
is
mood.
our 50th anniversary to a T. And I remind you, The Today Show's commitment is a daily segment on the commitment of celebrating Stonewall, and this was one of the stories that they did. They're not talking about gay men and employment, they're talking about gender identification issues. These are complex issues, especially for children, and the Today Show hits it head on. A magnificent moment in the Stonewall movement. What do y'all think about what we're watching in the press all over America, both on the local and the national level?
It makes me wonder, in 50 years from now, what are we going to look back at and say, oh, how stupid we were that that was such a big thing? The first thing that comes to mind for me is trans issues. Because right now I think that my trans brothers and sisters have a new fight and a new frontier, and it's a new movement. So for them, the struggle is still pretty early on. 50 years from now, things like bathroom, where somebody uses a bathroom, or what they identify with is going to be something that is not even going to be a matter of debate or issue, I believe. But I wonder what else are we going to look back at. For me, I think this is a great, great new day, and I'm glad to be living in it.
Yeah,
In the next generation, I have facilitated youth groups for trans and gender nonconforming and gay kids as young as 11 years old. I have counseled trans children and actually counseled their parents and families on kind of how to just accept their trans kid and how to kind of make that transition with them. I have seen the drastic differences. It was trans children who gave me the confidence to paint my nails and to grow my hair back out and to be who I am. It was trans children who gave me the ability to be my definition of what it is to be a man. And they are completely redefining everything when it comes to gender, when it comes to the way they see each other, when it comes to fashion, when it comes to everything. And I'm getting choked up now, and we're gonna kill my reputation.
I got chills all over my
but
body.
it is
brother.
it is a new world, and as much as I have had to fight and bang my head against the wall, they are changing everything, and I am finally starting to see in my own lifetime the fruits of all of what we've all
My
been through.
observation to that is, I hope, and I'll come to you, Andrew, I promise. I hope we can make the connection to that beautiful observation to whether you vote for the Republican re-election candidate, whether you vote for whoever the Democratic nominee is, whether you vote in whatever your primary is, whichever is going to be who you support in your state, I hope that they will make the connection that young gay America is really our future of gay America, and that they recognize that they must participate in the decision-making right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I hope.
They know it better than my generation does.
Fabulous. Andrew, you were going to say?
15 seconds. As a former drag queen, I respect my drag.
Wait. You were a drag queen?
Stop.
Miss Tri-Cities 1983.
Shot. I need a shot.
That's it.
Wait, somebody in production is fired tomorrow for not scouting that Andrew Brett was a drag queen Miss Tri-Cities.
1983.
1983.
Picture
oh
it.
my
The connection
gosh.
bar. Picture
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Anyway.
My sinuses, by the way, are draining right now. Okay, I'm sorry.
And I don't mean to, I embrace my drag queen friends. However, I have a huge issue with the drag queens going to a library and telling stories to little children.
Really?
They're innocent children whose minds
What's not
are,
innocent? What's not
hold
innocent?
on 1 second. Whose minds cannot comprehend all of this. 6, 7, 8-year-olds.
Bless your heart.
And I have a huge issue with it, and I think a lot of Americans do. And God bless these children who are dealing with a lot of interpersonal developments and gender identities, sexual orientations, but I have a huge problem with drag queens going to the schools and reading stories to 5, 6, 7-year-olds.
We understand. In this segment, in terms of what is happening this week in America's press, I think we can all agree in showing the two contrasts. There's been dramatic movement, even
We've
with what
moved
you've said.
100 miles.
We have much more to talk about.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand
do.
where you're coming from, and
I do
hopefully in 50 years nobody else will
Exactly.
think the same.
So you admitted you agreed with Republicans?
No, I don't. I said hopefully in 50 years nobody else will think like you.
Right. Okay. Next, we want to move on and tell you about. No, you're not getting a high five. I'm just telling you, you're not.
We took a selfie. So.
We did. We're good.
As much as you're going to get.
That's your
Right. Right. Exactly.
So the debates are on. Can we wrap this up?
Yeah. No.
No.
All right. We want to move on to a situation, a conversation that we had.
Oh.
It was fascinating. We had Congressman Ted Deutch, and we talked about
He's so
Stonewall.
cute.
He is cute. And we talked about the importance of gay community. Congressman Deutch is very, very important to many of you. And all of you, because some of you are saliva is dripping off of your fangs, and some of you are living in fear of Congressman Deutch because he is the chairman of the Ethics Committee in Congress.
No big deal, guys. Okay?
Right. Equally important, he's a senior member of the Judiciary Committee in Congress, and I think most important of all, he is the co-chairman of the Equality Caucus. And as we know, the Equality Act is passed through Congress, and now it will be considered by the Senate. We had a very enlightening interview with Congressman Ted Deutch, and we want to show you that in honor of Stonewall. We have another very special guest with us in this Stonewall special. And of course, you recognize him because of what an incredible ally we have in Washington, and that is Congressman Ted Deutch. Ted is the chairman of the House Ethics Committee. I imagine you're pretty busy these days.
There is a lot going on.
And equally busy, he is the vice chairman of the House Equality Caucus, and amazing things going on in the Equality Act. Welcome to It's Happening Out, Ted Deutch.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell us, Ted, about, everybody, a big, lots of applause for Ted Deutch, Congressman Deutch. Tell us a little bit about the process of the Equality Act. We have reported, as America knows, we're America's most popular live gay talk show. About 350,000 of you watched when we reported on the embracement of the Equality Act in committee first. 100% of the Democrats. 0% of the Republicans. We talked about that. Then the House vote.
Camera zoom to Joe.
We can talk about that.
We don't know what happened. We did get three Republicans.
We did.
We got three. And 100%, virtually 100% of the Democrats. What is the movement of the Equality Act and the embracement to civil rights? What did that mean to you in terms of seeing that historic moment?
It was really powerful because of the message that it sends, not just to the LGBT community, but to America as a whole. It's just a really clear statement that hatred isn't going to decide where someone lives, where they work, where they get educated, or how they live their lives. To take action to broaden our civil rights laws so that they are fully inclusive and recognize full equality is a really, really special moment.
Where are you, and where is the House, and what do you think is going to happen next in terms of what's going on with the president and what's going to happen?
We'll take your 30-page essay after the show, and we'll review it.
Well, forget the 30-page essay. Can I give you the 450-page Mueller report? That's right. No obstruction, no collusion. Right. So I'll tell you, this is a great time to have this conversation. I'm a senior member of the Judiciary Committee. We had a hearing this week where we got to point out some of what's in the Mueller report for people who aren't paying attention. And like I like to tell people, we like a good book in our country, but we love a movie. And the Mueller report lays out all of the potential cases of obstruction of justice, but we want a movie. We want to hear from Don McGahn, the president's personal lawyer, and we want to hear from Hope Hicks, and we want to hear from the Attorney General and let them answer the questions so that we can bring to life what's in the Mueller report and then have a clear, I think, what will be a clear path forward on making sure, as the Mueller report reminds us, that no one in America, especially the president, is above the law.
Did our directors and producers hear that? Did y'all make a note of that?
But is there any way that
Chairman Nadler will actually lay out all the proof that he said he's had for the last 24 months.
Yeah, well, it would
as opposed
Yeah.
to already declaring that the president is convicted.
And y'all were worried
but
about
he
me
has
getting
no
political.
but he has no evidence.
It's such a great question.
But isn't that an ethics issue?
It is such
an ethics issue.
It's such a great question. Will they finally lay out all of the evidence? The answer is yes. If the administration would actually recognize that there is an obligation to cooperate with Congress on behalf of the American people, then instead of stonewalling, then we would finally be able to have this conversation.
But he said he already had it, and it was in clear view. But he won't put it
well,
forth.
The investigation,
and
that
he's already declared that he's convicted.
Yeah, so the investigation, this is great. So the investigation just started in March. We are just having these hearings, and on Pride and on a day when we're thinking about Stonewall and celebrating marriage equality, we recognize how important it is to get the American people together. That's what these hearings are going to provide.
And actually, that was the point I was going to make. I love this little exchange. I love this little exchange because it was no. It is absolute proof of the slogan that the first Pride began in a riot, and we're having that conversation right now. Of course, many months ahead, we're going to have this conversation. Congressman Ted Deutch, we really thank you. We really want to come into your office here in South Florida and explore many things because it is happening out. We do think that this is a central issue, and the gay community is paying attention to what is going on. And of course, Florida is a major in-play state on November 3rd, 2020.
You are welcome anytime. Well, I'll welcome all of you. We can bring along some of the viewers. It'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So we thank
I'm gonna take you up on that offer.
Congressman Ted Deutch. Well, Congressman Ted Deutch, we really thank you for sitting down with us. It was a great interview. We're also going to bring you Debbie Wasserman Schultz interview, which was also awesome. It's a great moment in our time of celebrating our Stonewall celebration. And I think the phrase, it washes over me so well, the first Pride was a riot. And he mentions it, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz mentions it, which brings us to our final moment of the show. Since this show began broadcasting on September 20th, 2018, I think about 64 people watched the first show. Or something ridiculous like that.
Not true.
It's not, because 20 of it was us.
Okay. It was 69 fellows.
Yes, okay. All right, 69 fellows who were watching us. You could barely hear us. The imaging wasn't so good. The show has really committed. I
Like a baby drag queen, right, girl?
Right. I compliment all of the production staff that has continued. Hit after hit after hit, challenge after challenge after challenge, be better, be better, be better. Look at this show as an example of the slides and the video integration and the titling in the video, this conversation, and the fact that we could be so progressive to have the president of the Log Cabin Republicans on our show. I mean, come on.
Thank you.
I was kind of making a joke. No, I'm only kidding.
I'll take any press I can get.
All right, exactly.
Votes.
All right. You and Donald Trump, by the way. All right. So our road, since we started on September 18th, has led to 5 consecutive weeks where more than 350,000 people in America and around the world have watched It's Happening Out. It's an amazing accomplishment. And I only frame the conversation with all of you to say, we have led to this moment. We knew it was going to be Wednesday, June 26th, as our celebration and our nod to all of America. If you're not in New York, we are celebrating Stonewall. We have talked in so many different ways of the exploration of gay community. And we have talked in so many ways that there were so many gay icons that should be recognized on the 50 years of getting us there. And we're now at the final moment. I'm very proud of this because I was directly involved in this. I have amazing pictures of this gay icon. I'm not going to show you a single one of them because it's not necessary. This person is so important to the gay community and the 50th anniversary of our civil rights movement that we're very proud to bring our road to Stonewall, our #1 gay icon, who turns out not to be gay. Watch this.
I have to tell you, as I said, I've been going through an evolution on this issue. I've always been adamant that gay and lesbian Americans should be treated fairly and equally. And that's why, in addition to everything we've done in this administration, rolling back Don't Ask, Don't Tell, so that outstanding Americans can serve our country, whether it's no longer defending the Defense Against Marriage Act, which tried to federalize what has historically been state law. I've stood on the side of broader equality for the LGBT community.
The idea that they are going to be treated differently or abused because of who they love is wrong. It's a victory for gay and lesbian couples who have fought so long for their basic civil rights. It's a victory for their children, whose families will now be recognized as equal to any other. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free. It's the story of the Stonewall protests, when a group of citizens with few options and fewer supporters stood up against discrimination and helped to inspire a movement. It's the story of an epidemic that decimated a community, and the gay men and women who came to support one another and save one another, who continue to fight this scourge, who have demonstrated before the world that different kinds of families can show the same compassion in a time of need. Nobody in America should be fired because they're gay, despite doing a great job in meeting their responsibilities. It's not fair, it's not right. We're going to put a stop to it. I've signed a memorandum requiring all agencies to extend as many federal benefits as possible to LGBT families as current law allows. And these are benefits that will make a real difference for federal employees and foreign service officers who are so often treated as if their families don't exist. I've called on Congress to repeal the so-called Defense of Marriage Act to help end discrimination against same-sex couples in this country. It's the answer spoken by young and old, rich and poor, Democrat and Republican, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, disabled and not disabled, Americans who send a message to the world that we have never been just a collection of individuals or a collection of red states and blue states. We are and always will be the United States of America.
Yeah.
Well, of course, our gay icon for our road to Stonewall is President Barack Obama. Look at this slide. I walked into our production center. Of course, I will never, dying days, my last 24 hours, I will think of that picture of the White House. That is so important and so significant to us, we cannot move beyond it. That image of his efforts of making that personal decision to do that at the White House sparked 50 major national monuments around the world to go along with him. The Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, and on and on and on and on. Never seen before in history. I was ashamed this week as they were working on this slide, and I was seeing that image. I had forgotten the Newsweek cover.
Epic.
Newsweek makes the joke, America's first gay president. Sorry, Pete, somebody beat you to it. So, as we celebrate Stonewall this week, it is so important to us, regardless of which letter we represent in our community, it is beyond important this week. So, as always, in celebrating our road to Stonewall, we ask all of the hosts, tell us something about the recipient that's important to you and something that they said. Our final road to Stonewall, our president, President Barack Obama. And we're going to start with Andrew.
I respected the office that he held. And I was told, I looked and I looked and I couldn't decide. I had to pick one thing. I loved how he pandered to the LGBT community. He couldn't run for a third term. And I was pleased that he welcomed the Trump family to the White House in January 2017. Also, he left open 138 federal judge seats that President Trump has appointed 103 thus far to legislate the Constitution, not the bench. The quote that I picked up from President Obama was, "Every young person, no matter who they are, what they look like, what gender they are, identifies and deserves to be valued and loved for who they are."
Thank you. Carlos?
This is very personal to me because the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, made it easier for people living with HIV and AIDS to obtain Medicaid and private health insurance. For me, not HIV, but I was able to, for the first time as a struggling artist, to be able to get health insurance, people. So I am one of those peeps that have benefited from that. Obama said, "A change is brought about because ordinary people do extraordinary things."
Lovely. Josie?
During the Obama administration, the U.S. Department of Health Services and 5 other federal agencies tackled bullying, specifically LGBT teen bullying. And StopBullying.gov was created. And maybe you're familiar with that one video campaign, It Gets Better. It was funded through this task force. President Obama said, "Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to each other, to one another, must be equal as well."
So during Obama's presidency, the trans community actually celebrated over 150 federal policy victories that protected trans people from discrimination and violence, whether it was from federal jobs, schools, healthcare, prisons, and the military. He was also the first president to ever use the word transgender in a public speech.
Wow.
Obama said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek."
Power.
Well, it's interesting to note that Obama's standpoint on LGBT issues actually evolved from where he started as a senator and actually 3 years into his presidency. But in February 2011, the president and the general attorney announced that the Department of Justice would no longer defend the Defense of Marriage Act's provision defining marriage as only between a man and a woman. And this led to the Supreme Court's landmark decision legalizing same-sex marriage. My quote from Obama, "I'm very proud to have fought alongside you. We've got more miles in the journey, and I'm so glad that we're going to be traveling that road together. So thank you, Obama, for fighting the fight with us."
Yeah, that's a lovely quote. I have to tell you, I don't share this story very often. Multiple encounters, obviously. A lot of work in the LGBT community after his change of heart. And we even talked about this today. What's so amazing about the president to me is when he was the president, or when he was a senator from Illinois, he did not believe in gay marriage. When he was elected president of the United States, he did not believe in gay marriage. He was elected in 2008. His efforts did not begin until 2011. Now, there can be varieties of comments about President Obama coming to it late. But I am always grateful that he came to it. Because when he came to it and we evolve, That's why you see in a slide the White House illuminated in rainbow colors. The President of the United States does not have to say anything the President of the United States doesn't want to say. Period. The end. All stop. He made a choice, and it was magnificent for us. In every community, I do say women, Black, Latino, Jewish, religious minorities like Muslim. It takes a long time and a lot of history to reflect back to a moment to say, was this person important, and was this a big moment? And I frequently say that President Obama, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, American thought, world opinion, and historians and scholars will come back and say that this person was the Abraham Lincoln of the
Absolutely
gay community.
not. Absolutely
Andrew, I'm
not.
asking you not to say another word in respect for its happening out. One other observation in terms of the Abraham Lincoln for the gay community, an interesting little anecdote that I rarely tell. The first time I met the president, I was with Chuck. And we were in an all-day strategy session about the election process and what he was going to try to help support in Florida and other places. And I sat in an all-day meeting with Chuck about planning. And at the end of the day, the president comes in and he does a speech, and then the key people in the room are going to get pictures. It's the way it works in politics. That's what everybody wants and does. And he leaves the room and he goes on to the other side of a curtain, and Chuck and I move and we're standing in line and we're talking to people. And when we turned around the corner of the curtain, what you were to do is to walk right up to the president, and you were to stand there, you were to shake his hands, and they would take official photos. We came around the corner, I walked directly to the president, I shook his hand, I said, "Mr. President," and turned around, and Chuck was gone. And Chuck was still standing at the corner when he came around. And when he came around, I will never forget this. Chuck was so starstruck, he could not walk. He couldn't move. And President Obama, with his hand still in my hand, said, "Chuck, come on over here for the picture." God's honest truth. Chuck was frozen and could not move. President Obama let go of my hand and walked 15 steps over and grabbed Chuck by the hand and said, "Come right this way."
Wow.
And walked him right to the picture. My last moments on this planet will be that, among things, will be that moment. He did something very personal for two gay guys. For me, he is the gay icon of Stonewall. And we're very happy to celebrate this moment. This is an important moment for all of us, and we should relish and celebrate our 50 years of our road to Stonewall. Everybody that's going to New York, leaving today, leaving tomorrow, we wish you fun, and remember, you're gathering, and all over America we will celebrate it this weekend. This is the biggest gay celebration in the history of the planet.
I've never been so homesick in my life.
Have a great time, world. It's Stonewall, and that is our gay icon of Stonewall. All right, that's our show. It's happening out. We hope you like it. We hope you'll share us with people. We always end our show by saying we're hungry. I know Andrew is very hungry. Andrew, we thank you for participating with you. We for sure will invite you back. We're going to get a bell, an Andrew bell like a dog whistle, and say, but we'll continue to do that. First time out, we appreciate you being here.
Thank
it's
you.
a very
Appreciate
difficult
it.
situation
It is.
to deal with all of the lions that sit at this table. We're getting ready to have pizza, and here in South Florida we have Jet's Pizza. This is that new cauliflower crust.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
Really
it's
great.
really great. And
Okay,
so,
save us
thank
lots
you.
of
All
money.
right.
Sorry.
So, as we always end our show, we invite our host to say something in a good night, and just wish your friends and family and followers good night. And we're going to start with Andrew. Anything you would like to briefly say? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to say good night.
Good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. I love that. You know, it's very funny. Most people do not know what he just did. That's lovely. Carlos?
I'm not that old. Good night, and remember to keep doing extraordinary things.
And vote for Trump in 2020 and register to vote.
Yeah.
My lips were moving.
Yes, right. And my friend Josie.
Yeah. Hey, good night. This good night is to all my friends in New York City. I hope to make it up there for a surprise visit. But for everyone else, remember it's still Pride, so y'all be proud.
Be
okay,
proud.
thank
Exactly.
you.
And Aaron, my friend Aaron Phoenix.
Your friend.
My friend.
Good night,
My
gender
friend.
fuckers. Good night, gender warriors. Good night, gender bending children. And good night is the next generation who's going to change all this shit up from these motherfuckers.
And to my friend and now proud recipient of Moscato Moscato.
We were friends before that.
Power Infiniti.
V-blog.
Good night, children, and happy Pride.
Happy Pride. America, we always tell you, and it's happening out, it is not lost on us that this show has grown from 69 viewers on September 18th, 2018 to weeks and weeks and weeks at more than 350,000 viewers. We thank you very much. It is because we are dedicated to finding out if there's gay culture, if there is a gay community. We're going to end our celebration this weekend, go out and have fun. But Monday morning, a new challenge begins.
Yeah.
We're past Stonewall's 50th anniversary. What comes next will be important. But for now, party and celebrate. Good night, America.
Good night.